Hey there role players, welcome to the first basic Rolz tutorial. I'm going to show you how to use the dice rooms feature and especially how to roll some dice together with your friends. And for this I'm just going to an existing dice room that I have set up. If you don't have dice room set up, I encourage you to do that. You can create as many dice rooms as you want and try out stuff there. Making an account on Rolz is also quite easy. You don't even need an email address or anything, you just need to think of a username and you're good to go. For this I'm going to use an existing dice room, and the system makes a dice room name for you if you don't want to think of one. So these are basically these random 3 words bashed together. Those are all auto-generated names. And the dice rooms are fundamentally a chat room, right? So I can meet up with people here and just exchange chat messages, and by giving out this name of the dice room here that you can see on top, or the whole address of the dice room, you can invite players to your session. By default, everybody who has the address can enter your dice room and you can start playing. The first person to create a dice room also becomes the owner of the dice room, and you can see that here when I click on tools. This specifically says, okay, this is the GM of the room, and that's going to be it. So for starters, I can now chat with my players in this dice room, and there are several chat commands that you can use to make your life a little bit easier. For example, you can define a character name by issuing the char command, and I'm going to set up this as example character, for example, and every chat line I type in from that point on will feature my character name, so people know this is my username and this is my character name. All the other chat commands I will probably discuss in another tutorial. Let's just keep it to basics right now. So we can now make a dice room, we can chat in it, and the other function we need as far as basics go is the ability to roll some dice. To the right here we see the help screen. This contains everything you need to know about all the functions of Rolz, and it starts with a shortcut bar showing you some dice. And you can click on them to roll this specific die. For example, if I click on the d4, it says here, okay, you rolled a d4 and the result was 3. So that's pretty easy to do. And as you can see here, the dice code that was actually executed gets displayed when you use these shortcut commands. When you start your chat line with a hash symbol like this one here, Rolz interprets everything that follows after this character as a dice code, and a dice code is a specialized formula containing some numbers and math symbols optionally, and some dice instructions. And a dice instruction is something like, oh, I want you to roll a d12, for example, and the dice code for that is just d12. And if I want to add something to the d12, for example, I can say, okay, add 10 to this dice roll. And when I hit enter, you can see I rolled a 4, and plus 10, that is 14 in it. And using this, I can emulate most of the basic instructions that you need for role-playing for most games. And more help is available in the basic dice codes area of the help, and there are some example buttons defined here. For example, let's say I want to cast a fireball in Dungeons and Dragons on max level. That's usually 10d6, right? So I can just type in 10d6 and execute that by hitting enter. And when I mouse over the list of dice rolls here, I can see what every single one of the results was. And of course, this is the final result. Here is in this case 40. I can also multiply stuff, for example, here 2d6 and double it. That's 2d6 times 2 in this case. So this gets shown like this. And I can do this with most things that are available in a calculator, right? For example, I can also use parentheses to denote priority of operation, right? For example, I can roll 2d6, multiply these by 2, and then divide by 3. There are also some other things you can do with basic dice codes. For example, when rolling for attributes, there was, I think, if I remember correctly, a rule in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe it was 3rd edition or something. You were allowed to roll like, I don't know, 4 or 5. I think it was 4d6 and keep the highest 3. I'm not sure. So that there was, don't hold me to that. I don't actually know. But there's a code for that, right? If I want to keep the highest 4 of, for example, 60-10, that's the example that's stated here. If I want to keep the highest 3, let's say, of 4d6, I just say 4d6 h3, and that gets me the highest 3. And it says right here, high 3 of 6, 4, 5, 5, and it adds that. Moving on, there's also a dice code that has results ranging from -x to +x. In this example, the x is 1, which means you will get results from -1 to +1. So for U1 will be, including the 0 point in this example, it came down to -1. And there are systems that use this. They usually have specific dice with specific meanings, but this is what actually happens in these kinds of systems. The same goes for the fudge dice. This is essentially the same feature. Finally, an interesting feature is the draw die, which has the dice code DD. That means you treat the die as a card deck. For example, in this case, the D6, right? It's tantamount to having 6 cards. And I reshuffled this when I use it first. And the first card I'm drawing is a 1. And the next card is a 2 in this case. And then comes the 5. And then comes the 6. And then comes the 3. And by now I have used up 5 of my cards. I'm going to draw another one. So after this, my deck is empty. When I use this command again, it will reshuffle the deck and start from the beginning. This is perfect for players who think they are always unlucky. So you can tell them to use the DD code and every number will come up exactly once until the deck gets shuffled again. So that was basic dice codes, and this should get you started playing simple role-playing games on Rolz without using any of the advanced features. That's basically all you need to get started. Thank you for listening and have fun playing.